Okay, so talking a little bit about temperature, we need to know in Chem 101 how to convert Celsius to Kelvin, or Celsius to Fahrenheit, or Kelvin to Celsius, or Fahrenheit to Celsius. So what I'm going to do, we need to memorize these two formulas. Depending on your professor can give you the two formulas in your exam. I would recommend you to ask your professor if the formulas will be in your exam or not. But an important key, first of all, you need to know the formulas. So I know that Kelvin is equal to Celsius plus 273.15. Some professors consider 273 only, some others consider 273.15. I will use 273.15 in my calculations. So another thing you can ask is my exam going to be only 273? It's going to be 273.15. What we need to know is that temperature is related with the movement of atoms. If I have temperature goes up, I have more excitement, when my molecule starts to be more excited, more movement. If the temperature goes down, the same thing happens with the movement that goes down. So we have a direct relationship between how excited my molecules will be and the temperature. Okay, so another thing you need to know is that in order to find Celsius, if the question gives me Fahrenheit, I need to do my temperature in Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 1.8. I use a parenthesis here just because when I'm plugging in my calculator, I want to have a parenthesis on here and then divided. If I don't have the parenthesis there, I won't get the right answer. So just for practice, start putting the parenthesis here. Or you can do this minus this and then divide it. So let's work with some examples. So suppose my professor gives me a question and says, well, my temperature was 25 Celsius. Can you tell me how much Kelvin? Oh yes, I just say Kelvin is equals 25 plus 273.15. So Kelvin here, the temperature in Kelvin would be, let me just plug this in my calculator. It would be at 298.15, or I would say 298. This would be my temperature in Kelvin. Now, if my professor says, well, my temperature is equals to 375 Kelvin. And what is this temperature in Celsius? I'm using the same formula. However, what I want to do first is solve my equation for Celsius. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to solve my K equals Celsius plus 273.15. What I will do, I will subtract 273 in both sides. So I can cancel this. And I have that Celsius is equals to Kelvin minus 273.15. Now that I solve my equation for Celsius, I can just plug the number, the temperature in Kelvin, and figure it out how much is it in Celsius. 75. 273.15. This will be 375. This will be around 102 Celsius. Okay, so if the question gives me the temperature in Celsius and wanted to figure it out and ask me to find the temperature in Kelvin, I just plug the temperature in Celsius in this equation, and then I got my new temperature in Kelvin. If the question gives me the temperature in Kelvin, then first I need to solve my equation for C in Celsius. So Celsius equals Kelvin minus 273, and then I just plug the number and I find my temperature in Celsius. It's just a straightforward relationship. It's not difficult math. So now let's work with the other equation. If the problem is in Celsius and wants me to find the temperature in Fahrenheit and vice versa. So we know that Celsius is equals Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 1.8. So if I say, well, the temperature now it's 125 Fahrenheit. Can you tell me how much it is in Celsius? Yes. So I plug in my equation 125 minus 32 and I divide it by 1.8. So don't forget to use your parentheses. 125 minus 32 divided by 1.8 gives me a 52 Celsius. Now, if the problem says, well, the temperature it's equals to, let me see, 25 Celsius. Can you tell me what is the temperature in Fahrenheit? Yes, we can. We're going to use the same equation, but first we want to solve our equation for Fahrenheit. So I know that Celsius is equals Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 1.8. So in order to solve this equation for Fahrenheit, first of all, I multiply both sides by 1.8. So I can cancel this. So I have 1.8 Celsius equals to Fahrenheit minus 32, right? Now I added 32 to both sides. So this 32 will cancel out. So Fahrenheit will be equals to 1.8 times Celsius plus 32. So now that I solved my equation for Fahrenheit, what I need to do is just plug this temperature that the problem gave me, and in the equation and figure it out. What is the temperature for Fahrenheit? So in the case of 25, would be 1.8 times 25 plus 32, which gives me a 77 Fahrenheit. So when they gave me the problem, when the problem is asking me for temperature, I need to say, well, the two equations I have is this one where I can find Fahrenheit and the other one that I can find Kelvin. And I'd say, what is the question asking me for? It's asking me for the temperature in Kelvin, it's asking for the temperature in Celsius, it's asking for the temperature in Fahrenheit. Now with these two equations, I would say, well, they want me to find the temperature in Celsius, so they gave me the temperature in Fahrenheit, so just plug the numbers straightforward in my equation and find the temperature in Celsius. Or if they ask me for the temperature in Celsius in Fahrenheit, I just solve first my equation for Fahrenheit, and then I plug the number and I figured it out how much Fahrenheit it is with that specific number in Celsius. The same thing I can do with Kelvin. I add the 273 if the temperature is given in Celsius, or subtract the 273 if the temperature is given in Kelvin and wanted me to find the new temperature in Celsius. These two equations that I needed to have them memorized, or if my professor decide that he or she will give me the problem, the equations in the test would be nice.